Miss Carey, I
All
loved your
right.
earrings. You look so pretty.
Thank you. They're a little bold for me, but I'm
Oh, I
trying to
like
be
them.
bold.
I bet Stephanie likes them too. Yeah, Stephanie likes them.
Yeah.
All right, you have the floor, Miss Carey.
All right. So my name is Carey Portell. I am a national speaker and cattle farmer here in Mid-Missouri. And 9 years ago, I was involved in a fatal drunk driving crash with two of my children. And that spurred a 4-year recovery for me until, 4 years until the surgeon said, Carey, this is about all we can do for you. It took me that long to be able to walk without support. And in 9 years, I've had 13 surgeries, and I am at a right now partially disabled status. The first 2 years I was in a wheelchair full time. And then since then, I've been a part-time wheelchair user. And nobody knows this yet. Over the last month, I am actually transitioning to full-time wheelchair. So I am not paralyzed. I have severe injuries from my waist down, my lower body, and it is to the point that it's too painful for me to walk anymore. So um, I speak about, my journey and my recovery. I speak about being beautifully broken. And I say it that way because the lessons that I have learned have been so hard, yet so beautiful in how they have enhanced me. Um, I I also have done a few workshops. I am currently trying to take that in-person workshop and create it into an online course. So that's something I've been trying to do during this quarantine time. I do advocate for an organization through our Missouri extension called Agriability, and they have helped me continue to farm at the level that I'm at today. And obviously with my recent transition, we're going to have to make some changes and kind of figure out now what I can and can't do with barely walking, pretty much. So my husband and I have raised 4 kids, and our youngest actually is just graduating this year, our youngest and only boy. And this is my speaking business is my third business. I have always had an entrepreneurial spirit. As a child, I was always thinking of what I could do to make money because we didn't have any. And I definitely see that in my youngest child, in my son. So my first business was a photography studio, and I definitely do not get to do that anymore. Every once in a while, I will get to photograph someone that I know personally that I can just say, okay, you know what, while you're doing a clothing change, I can go ahead and sit down, and it not be awkward, not knowing the person and what my situation is. Um, I kind of continue that now, but I photograph my farm animals, which I enjoy. Photography, when I first was able to start getting out just a little bit, I needed to get out of my home. So I would go to our pastures and I would photograph from the truck, and just something for my mind to focus on. So um, I didn't really want to speak. I have always been a shy, naturally introverted person. And the thing that inspired me to do that was two things. It was one, God tapping me on the shoulder saying, you're supposed to do something with everything that you've learned. And the second was my community. My community was, nudging me hard all the time, saying, Carey, you got to share what is going on in your life, because nobody ever sees that part. They just see, the outside. They don't see the deep stuff. So it took me a bit. I didn't start speaking until after those 4 years of recovery because I was constantly having surgeries, and it was so emotionally difficult to start doing that. And the first year that I was speaking, it was solely for me. It was a healing process. I pray that my audience got something out of it, but really it was just for me. It was a purge and heal process every time that I got up there on that stage and spoke. And then finally, somewhere into that second year, I finally got a hold of myself and I'm like, I'm like, I think I can do this and I can actually concentrate on the audience instead of just me getting through this. And so now it's become a passion where I'm like, there is somebody out there every single time that I speak that on that day they needed to hear those exact words that I say to them, and it has changed their life. And I know that because the same thing happened to me during those 4 years of recovery, that someone listened to that little voice that was in their head that said, I need to send Carey a message right now at this moment. And it may not be anybody that I really know very well, and or send me a card, or something like that. And it was at that moment that because they listened to that voice, like I was in a deep, deep rut. And just that little thing kind of brought me out where I could get through the rest of my day. So I always think back to that whenever I think, who am I? Who do I think that I am? That I have something that people need to hear. I take myself back to that. And same thing, kind of like bring myself confidence, know my worth now, and know that someone's out there. So what I do, like the services that I offer, is I speak pretty much anywhere that I am asked. Now that I'm transitioning over to full-time wheelchair, travel is going to be a little bit more difficult. I've really been struggling with where my business is going to go right now, because it has been all travel. And airports had been very difficult even before, a wheelchair. So luckily, COVID has put us in a place where now the entire world understands that we don't have to do everything in person. And they're getting so used to being on Zoom that I think that maybe this is a great time for me to transition more of my business to online. And that's where I'm kind of coming up with the online course. So I kind of tell a little bit of my story in the course, but then more so, I get to work on specific segments of my recovery of how I've gotten through it. And I still haven't kind of decided whether we're going to do like an interaction. It's just going to be like you take it online and you listen to my videos and have a Facebook group or something like that. But I am passionate about changing perspectives. And it all comes down to choices. So, obviously, I advocate for not, driving distracted. And that's a huge part of it. But honestly, I've gotten to the point where I enjoy so much in changing people's perspectives about themselves and their lives and where they could go, and figuring out what is holding them back. Because without this tragedy happening to me, I don't think that I know I wouldn't be the person that I am today. It has spurred me to be more open, I guess, with my opinions and anything that I advocate for, and just honestly showing a little bit more vulnerability, because I was that very private person before that I did not really let my emotions out. And now it's hard to hold them in. I'm a completely different person. It's crazy. So when I see the audience members' eyes focus with a new understanding, or I read their messages of healing that they send me after my presentations, I'm like, that's why I'm doing this. I'm like, this is not about me anymore. This is totally about everybody else. Like I am okay. So I can concentrate on everybody else that I'm speaking to that needs that one person who understands where they're at right now and how difficult it can be. And sometimes just having that one person in your group that, has just been, I can get so raw. I just now, like, there is nothing that I will hold back if you need it. It is so strange to me sometimes how I have transitioned from being such a private person into this new person. And so being in business, being in 3 different businesses, like, am I a glutton for punishment or what? Because God, being a self-employed business owner is not easy. People used to think, oh, you can take off when you want to, you can do this and do that. I'm like, man, are you kidding me? I'm like, I work 60 to 80 hours a week, when I had the photography studio. And of course, farming is, it never stops. And then when you own your own business now, all the marketing and all, all the accounting and just trying to get yourself out there is so difficult and takes so much time. And a lot of people don't know that. And for other women who have this idea and they're like, I feel very strongly about this. And then this voice comes in their head that says, you can't do that. You're just Carey from small town Missouri. Who do you think you are that people are going to take you seriously? And I guarantee you, I swear that will stop 75% of women from taking the plunge and just going for it. And that's what my husband and I did with our cattle business. We had no business starting cattle farm when we did, because it was a year after my car crash. And I'm not kidding you, we were so poor. I didn't even know if we were going to be able to keep the farm. It was unbelievable where that crash put us financially. And for us, we looked at it and we're like, what else can happen? I mean, if it fails, it fails. We'll sell it all. We're not going to have any regrets anymore. And it almost took away, like a little bit of fear is okay because you need that to be cautious, but it took away that fear of who do we think we are type thing. So my advice to women is you won't know success without challenges. And you need those challenges to help you just keep going, to say, you know, just kind of keep that fight in you and continue in sparking that passion to keep going. And then hopefully you can look back in 5 or 10 years and go, man, I didn't think I was going to make it through those first 5 years, but look at me now, here I am. So that's my little bit for you girls this evening. I decided not to share my PowerPoint. It gets a little, it's kind of heavy to see the pictures of my car and stuff like that. I felt like I wanted it to be a little bit more upbeat tonight. So I enjoyed hanging with you girls this evening.
Carey, thank you so much. I think that was a tremendous ending to the evening. You know, I think that the biggest thing I probably took from what you said was something you just said maybe 2 minutes ago was success doesn't come without challenge. And I've found that out a lot in, you know, being in retail management as well as, you know, just my personal life in general. I think you should let those challenges, those hardships, those tough moments take root in your brain, but to not let them grow into trees is kind of the analogy I like to use for my employees. I guess I want them to be able to embrace the challenges when things are hard. That's good because you're going to keep growing. You can let them take root in your brain, but don't let them become trees. You can water them, but don't let them become trees. Don't allow them to take such precedence in your life that you stunt your own personal growth. And what you have to share with women and that you have shared with women continues to be something astronomically, phenomenally wonderful. And I really appreciate you coming in, sharing that and being vulnerable with us. I know that's probably got to be very tough for you. I remember when you took our pictures of our basketball team in high school and then, you know, hearing about your accident and how you've persevered through that. It's really very admirable. And I really appreciate you being here again. Really appreciate that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ladies, that about wraps it up. We had over 60 views. So that's awesome. Check out comments anytime you've shared the post. So that's wonderful. You guys were able to share your stories. Before we leave, I wanted to announce a couple